Good morning, Internet. This is Alan from Woodcrest Bonsai, and I just completed a new bench for even more trees. And this bench is a combination of some older wood and some new wood and some also older wood that was positioned with one side up for many, many years. And so I turned them around so they look new, like these two pieces right here. They look really quite new, but this is the underside. And then my plan is to go to this bench here, which is very old and crusty. The wood on this bench is really dilapidated. Plus the cinder blocks. And cinder blocks make okay uprights for bonsai benches, but in my experience, they tend to shift, and then the benches begin to lean. And so if we take our camera up over the Brazilian red cloak, which is what this stuff is, has nothing to do with bonsai, and then I have a Brazilian rain tree in a pot, which is in the ground. To get it out of that pot, it'll also be dug out of the ground. So here's a preview of the trees that I need to work on. And all of these trees need some work, some less than others, and some more than others. They are all going to need some combination of trimming and restyling and repotting, and mostly the repotting is going to include some root pruning. So I have this Burt Davii ficus, which is a very interesting little tree, but I acquired it from my friend with all this excess growth, so that's all coming down to make the tree more of a dome look. And then I have a lot of Portulacaria in here. There's some Premna, there's some parrot's beak. There's also a couple of very fat little desert rose. That desert rose never really is bonsai, but they're fun. They're fun to work with. So I've got my work cut out for me. Then we have something like this one here, which is really a pretty decent tree that just needs a little tweaking, and I'm going to repot everything. And then we have our spacing out elephant tree. This is called elephant tree because the bark is so much like the skin of an elephant. And this guy was dormant for a long, long time, so it's finally beginning to produce some new growth, and I want to take cuttings from this guy. And he already got a repotting, so he won't. Then we have our tray of succulents that I did a few videos ago. And then here's a Premna that is so far grown out of the pot that it's almost just a joke. However, it is a testament to how tough they are, because it's still growing just fine. And then some more Premna that are just way overgrown, that have very nice movement, but just need to have all that really long, leggy growth trimmed back and let it regrow and keep it more in style. And here's another Portulacaria jade, which is a very nice little tree, which really needs very little. It's been wired into a slanting trunk. So I've got quite a combination of different things here. This is an old ficus tree that needs to have the lichen removed and the branches all put into place. And then a whole nother bunch. And you notice that this is all bunched up because they really ought to be spaced out between this bench and the one behind me, the brand new one. And then, of course, we have the beehive. And it's super early in the morning, and I just finished the bench because there was one They just don't fly this early in the morning. They start getting going a little bit later. Here comes a couple coming back in for landing. Oh, did you see those two? Both of them. They are collecting a very white pollen. And they've been doing that for quite a while. So I'm very, very close right now because there's only one or two. But in the middle of the day, I don't want to disrupt them. I don't want to put myself in danger of being stung. So that's why I finished the bench this early in the morning. Then I have a whole little collection of mame guys that are also quite cute, that don't need a whole lot of work. Here's another one right here. That is another cute little tree, and you can see from my thumb it's only like 2 inches high. This is another very interesting tree right here that is also quite small, and they all just need a little bit of tweaking, these mame guys. Here's another one, a very nice little tree that I like a lot. And so that's the plan, is to take all of these guys that are all basically jammed together. So here's another Portulacaria that really needs some cutback. It's got interesting movement, but the branches have been allowed to get way too long. So I'll be cutting it back. And almost every one of these needs a repotting. It needs to be replenished. So the reason these are so jammed together is because a portion of them should be spread on this bench here. So that's the plan for the next, I would say probably week or more, is to take the guys that are over here, and I will probably, well, no, not probably, I will very definitely put them into categories. So if I'm working on parrot's beak, I'll work on 2 or 3 parrot's beak in the same video. Here's a parrot's beak right here that is also a very nice little tree that once again just needs a little tweaking and a repotting because a lot of them are root bound. So I'll work on parrot's beak all in one video, and Premna all in one video, and lots of Portulacaria. And when I build these benches, especially on top of cinder blocks, there's a lot of space out here. So the cinder block ends about right there. So it's very easy to tip the bench over. So you'll notice that I have, on this bench, I have my heaviest trees in the middle to keep the bench from tipping over one way or the other. And I will do the same thing with this bench. And I may not necessarily use nothing but these trees over here. And then, I mean, look at the wood on this thing. It's just all so crusty and rotted away. Moss growing on that's actual decking. And then I just totally resurfaced all of these benches. And I don't know if you can tell, but this one here is leaning like crazy. So take everything off, put the cinder block base back upright, nice and, with also giving the beehive their space. I think I have determined that I can remove this old piece of wood and keep there's another guy just about ready to go. There he goes. Here comes another one. Go! Go! Oh, he's not going. Come on. What are you doing? Oh, maybe he's a defender. There's one coming in. So I do believe I will keep the incredibly crusty old crossbeam because I don't think I can disturb them that much. They also use a product that they excrete called propolis that they glue everything together. So this upright is actually the cinder blocks that they're actually in those cinder blocks are actually nice. They're upright and they haven't leaned over, so I won't need to mess with that. But they have glued this old piece of wood right here down to that cinder block because they glue everything together except for their entrance and exit. And then I have a very old and in need of fertilizer tremendously dwarf black olive, which I'll be working on too. I hope to take some air layers from him, but they are so tropical that he needs probably another month or two before I even tackle him. And you can see just how incredibly old these benches are. Look at the moss on the wood. And man, that is going to be so nice to have all brand new wood and all my trees spaced out a lot better, because it's a whole lot. It's pretty difficult to enjoy a tree when it's like, what is this one? Where is it? What is it? Can't even see it. Actually, if we pick this guy up, he's one of those that needs major work. Some major work. But it has the style. It's in there. It just needs to come out. So we're getting there. Slowly but surely. And there's the Brazilian red cloak again. This is an interesting tree. When it flowers, it has an amazing, huge flower cluster. That, guess what color it is? Red. And man, they are beautiful. And these guys are in pots, but they've grown right into the ground, so oh well. If I ever got my entire backyard completely clean, pristine, and full of weeds, it would kill me. Okay. So there we go. I'm happy about the new bench. And I also sealed it with the water sealer that I paint on. I do that with every time I do a new bench. And that's it for today. Here's another. I say that's it and then I keep going. Okay, well anyway. Here's another really old, crusty desert rose. Look at is that Nabari? I don't know if you could call that Nabari or not. But it's got an interesting structure too, and it's actually about ready to flower. You see the flower right there? And interestingly, all of my desert rose, regardless. Here's another one that's really a pretty cool little tree. Got some weeds. Ignore the weeds. Here's another one that's a pretty cool little tree. Every single one came from one mother who produced the seed over the years. So I should probably just do a video just on my desert rose. I probably have 50, all in different stages. So if we go over here, try not to walk so fast. Here's another desert rose, which is also, could you call that a bonsai? Probably not. But they're fun to grow. They're fun to play with. And this is another one. It's kind of in a cascade pot. A lot of these smaller pots you buy in sets, so you'll buy like 12, and invariably 2 of them are going to be cascade pots because that's just the way they come. So then you're sort of stuck with the thing. If you want the rest, if you want the other 10, then you've got to, you got to buy the 2 cascade pots. So this is an interesting guy too. Oh, don't look behind. There's a dead citrus tree, which shall be going in the garbage pronto. But life happens. I'm not really much of a citrus bonsai person. So, killing that tree because, like I mentioned in another video in the comment section, bonsai don't die, you kill them. So, I killed that guy. Let him dry out, basically. And at least I know why. This is an interesting guy here. This is going to make a fun video. It's a very, very strange, oddball kind of shape. And I think it's going to be a very, very interesting endeavor to work on this guy. And this is also a typical ficus that the roots have escaped out of the pot. And I mean, then they just escaped and escaped and escaped and escaped. And I mean, look at them. They're 3 feet long. The roots are 3 feet long. And I've been thinking very seriously of making a video on ficus and calling it Ficus, Masters of Escape, because I have so many trees like that where the roots have said, pot? What pot? I'm going down to the ground. And I remember Jim Smith in Vero Beach used to have a section where he had so many different trees, and they were just sort of there, you know, kind of like this section here. You know, I'll get to it one day, and he had ficus trees that had grown down into the ground that were just massive. They were still in pots, quote unquote, but the roots had escaped and grown down into the ground, and it was really a very interesting place. That section of his nursery was a very interesting place to go try to discover some new gems that you could buy. So there we go. It's a beautiful morning, although the forecast is for a high of 92 in the middle of April. Of course, I'm in zone 10, so it's a mild climate, but 92 in April is a little bit over the top. And then we're supposed to get a cold front and back down into like the high 70s. So this is the last day of really high heat, and then back down to fairly normal. And there's not much you can do about the weather, but there is something you can do about your bonsai trees and your benches. So there's the deal. Over the next few days, I'll be working on all these trees, putting them on the brand new bench, and then getting rid of all this old crusty wood that's down here, and putting all brand new, and it'll be so pretty. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're curious about the sheer volume of this stuff and how I'm going to treat some of these guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. I keep wanting to say the subscribe bell. Anyway. And leave a comment. This is, I don't know. I don't want to say that this is what a lot of my bonsai garden used to look like before I started this channel. But now, having this channel and having people watch, and I feel like I have a little bit more accountability. So it's a slow process because, as you can see, I haven't even gotten at these guys. But it's coming. So thank you so much for watching Woodcrest Bonsai.